Today we'll be installing a set of Vittoria Gravel airliners. Suggested retail, $40. But why would we even want them? After a very rough course last year at Gran Fondo Winthrop, I've been considering whether liners might make a difference. After watching a lot of videos from mountain bikers, I settled on the following possible benefits. 1. Progressive suspension. First your tire and air, and then your tire and the foam. 2. Ability to run lower pressure with less risk of pinching or rim damage. 3. Extra protection for your rims. 4. Ability to run flat, a possible lifesaver on long remote rides. After comparing various liners, I settled on the airliners as they seem very durable at lightweight. Vittoria says they weigh 47 grams. I forgot to check them before installing. I might have chosen Cushcore if I could ignore their rather severe weight penalty, but with most of my organized rides in the Cascades Mountains, I keep track of my grams. Most likely, you'll need to remove your old valves and install the one that came with the liner. The valve needs to have holes in the sides, not just the bottom, since the bottom will be blocked by the liner. The instructions recommend stretching out the liner like this. This is how much it stretched relative to my other unstretched liner. The road and mountain bike versions come as complete circles. Apparently the gravel version is sent like this to accommodate both 700C and 650B. Seems like a hack to me. I prefer a pre-sized circular product, but at least this version is cheaper than the road or mountain bike versions. I made a practice cut on the end just to make sure I knew what I was doing first. I'm just using a regular box cutter. They recommend making the cut a few centimeters short in order to keep the liner snug and in place. They also recommend the hole for the zip tie be a few centimeters from the end. I assume to prevent ripping through the new liner. Here I'm using a 1/8 inch drill bit and was just able to push and twist it through easily. I kind of moved the bit from side to side to make the hole a bit wider for the zip tie. Not required, but made it easier on the second liner. Of course, you have to do this on both ends. You can see it took a bit of work to get the zip tie through there. And then I just did my best to try to make it as continuous as possible. And of course, clip off the end of the zip tie. At this point, you'll probably want to test fit the liner on the rim and make sure you've got a snug fit. But then you'll need to remove it again and fit the first side of the tire as if you were going to install an inner tube. Then put the liner in like you would a tube. With luck, you'll be able to get the bead down in the center channel enough to install the tire. Notice the line on the tire that is just outside of the rim? This indicates the bead is where it's supposed to be when inflated. However, to get the tire installed, we need the bead pushed down further into the center channel of the rim. You may be able to push this in with your hands, but if not, you can use a tire lever to push the bead off the shelf into the liner and force it down past the liner to the center channel. You can still see that line on the tire, then you haven't pushed it down enough and you'll never get it installed. My first tire went easy. Here I'm showing my second tire since it's far more interesting to watch someone struggle. If you get it done at least halfway around the rim, you should be good once you use the levers to get the last bit up and over. With that done, I went fully around the tire, squeezing and lifting the tire and liner into place. One advantage to the liners is they make initial inflation easy since they push the tire into place. So all you need is a normal track pump to install and hear that wonderful double snap. A like to seat the tire and see it hold pressure before adding sealant. I'm not a fan of gumming up my valve cores with sealant, so I'm removing one side now to pour sealant directly into the tire and reset it. While you may not choose this extra step, I embrace the extra practice of removal and seating at home rather than on the side of the road somewhere. So here's another demonstration of me pushing the bead into the center channel. After very precisely measuring out what appears to be curdled milk, I pour it in, slowly moving the sealant away from the open portion of the tire and reinstall. This time by hand to show you just how pro I am. A little more air, and we're good. Of course, you need to get that sealant spread around the tire if you aren't going to go riding right away. Here's a view to show relative size of the installed liner to a 43mm tire. You can see that pumped up, there's a lot of volume left before you start compressing the liner. What do I think after a few hundred miles? Well, I haven't hit anything really nasty yet to be sure, but I don't notice them at all in most situations, which is exactly what you'd want. I do think I feel them when I hit sharp edges, as I haven't yet had that terrible experience of bottoming out the tire on the rim. I definitely feel a bit more confident hitting things. Before, I was generally running around 35 psi on these tires. I steadily dropped pressure from ride to ride until I got down to about 28 psi. Felt it was just a bit too squishy, so I'll probably settle around 30. However, I'm a bit of a lightweight, so your mileage may vary, but I'm definitely running lower pressures than before.